Hey guys, Peter Chen here, recording another 500 Zoom video. I'm uploading every week, so if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe. On table 1, we have Queen 9 suited in the button against an early position raise. I think it's close. I could fold, I could 3-bet, I could call. On table 2, we have 3s in the big blind against the small blind open, always defending this. And with our gut shot, or with our open-ended straight draw on table 1, I'm mostly going to be calling. I could raise sometimes too. And with the 3s, could bet some of the time, but mostly checking. And now I'm going to call the turn bet. With the Queen 9, I think now I can fold to this big bet. And I have a flush with the 3s. Just going to be calling this. On table 1 in the big blind against an early position open with King 8 suited, mostly calling. Could 3-bet sometimes too. And folding to the flop c-bet. Against the 2.2x, I'm going to be calling with 10-7 offsuit. And calling again on the flop. On table 1, opening button with 5-4 suited. And with the 10-7, I could start betting now. I could check again. I think betting makes sense. And on table 1, going to be mostly betting small here. On table 2, opening button with ace-10 offsuit. With 9s against the 2.2. I think in theory this is supposed to be mostly a call, but against a guy who is opening 2.2, I think I want to be raising a bit more. So with the ace-10, I see bet small on the flop. On the turn, it's pretty close. I could bet, I could check. So we check and get a 9 of diamonds on the river. And I think I'm always calling this. Having the ace of diamonds is good to raise with, but I think my 10 is way too strong to be turning into a bluff. On table 2, going to be 3-betting with 8s. And on table 1, defended blind versus blind with King-Jack offsuit. Facing the flop bet, I could raise this sometimes. I think mostly calling though, especially against the big bet. And I'll be calling the 4-bet with 8s. With the king jack, I think I'm going to bet and start betting big. I can rep a lot of 8s. And I think shoving the river makes sense now. On table 2, I've just checked twice. And on the queen river, basically all my no pair hands turned into some kind of pair or straight. I had king queen before, so I think 8s is good to go for a bet. I think I want to choose the sizing I would make with one of those hands, but I think it's mostly going to be 2-pair that wants to be betting and getting value from an ace. Unfortunately, I do run into an ace. On table 1, I'll be opening with queen 8 suited from the hijack. And on table 2, 3-betting blind wrist blind with ace king suited. On table 1, opening jack 10 suited under the gun. And I'm going to start off the flop with the check here. After check check, I could start betting this, but I think I'm still mostly checking. And on the river, I think I have a decent hand to be betting. On table 2, 3-betting kings. And now opening aces from under the gun. We get 3-bet. Going to put in a 4-bet. This guy has a 60 big blind stack, so I'm not going to go too big. I think it makes sense to go pretty small and then have hands that might be able to fold to a shove as well. And I'm going to start off with a very small bet. On table 1, defending big blind with queen 2 suited. And the king is a really good card for me. I'm not sure if I want to be shoving though. think going small still makes sense. With the queen two, I called a bet, hit two pair on the turn. And now goes check check, and I think it makes sense to go big. With the flush and the straight out there, and me having some higher two pair as well. I don't really have that many higher two pair. I don't think I want to go for an over bet, but just under pot. On table one, opening button with ace jack offsuit. With the 6-5, I could defend this sometimes, but I think mostly folding. On table two, opening ace jack suited from the hijack. And on table one, opening button with ace four suited. On table two, opening button with ace three offsuit. And against the three bet, we'll be folding. Table two, opening cutoff with king queen offsuit. Going to be folding to this three bet as well. On table one, we opened ace jack offsuit, got called by the big blind. I could bet this, could check. Going to check this time. This is a pretty decent turn for us, especially when he snap checks. And we face a raise, and unfortunately, going to have to fold. On table two, opening small blind with ace five suited. On table two, opening button with ace four off. And folding to the three bet. On table two, we face a small open from the small blind. I'm going to be calling this always. And on table 2, or table 1, with ace-8 suited from the small blind against hijack open, going to be 3-betting. I'm going to call once with king high here. And versus the check, going to start betting. Folding my ace-8 suited on table 1. And folding to the check raise. With 7s on table 1, I'm going to be mostly calling this, 3-betting sometimes. Going to 3-bet this time. And on table 2, opening button with ace-5 off. On table 1, opening under the gun with 9-8 suited. And folding to the 3-bet. On table 1, I'm facing this open from a medium stack. Going to defend my big blind with 8-5 suited. I think I have to call once. And a very good turn for me. On table 2, I open button, and I'm going to check this sometimes, bet sometimes. And with the 5, now I have trips. I don't think I'm really strong enough to raise. With the queen 10 now, I'm going to start betting. Uh, 7-8 suited, going to raise under the gun. Fairly low frequency open, but the way I'm just going to decide if I open those very low frequency hands is if they're just good players behind, I'm going to fold. If I think I'm around the average of the players behind, I'll open it at the frequency I should, and if there are any weak players behind, I'll open it a lot more. On table 1, I 4-bet kings. I could either check or bet small on this flop. I'm going to bet this time. And on table 2, I defended my big blind against the button open with 4-2 suited. Check the flop, check the turn. And now with 4 high, I'll be folding to any bet. With the kings, I think it makes sense to keep betting small. I'm not worried about protection since I have the diamond. I just want to be getting max value from either a jack or some kind of draw. And never checking here. There's not too much of a point to slow play when I have a third of the pot behind. Now on table 2, I 3-bet tens. I think this is a flop I'll be betting a lot on, but I do have a good hand to check. On table 2, I could 3-bet this, I could call. Going to be calling this time. And we flop middle pair. So flop goes check, check. I think most of the time we're going to be seeing a check back on this flop. So over pairs are still in Jarrett Mann's range. And the ace is pretty good for me. I need to think about how I'm going to get the most value from an ace. And I think that's either overbetting or check raising. I think it's more likely for me to get called when I bet 1.5x pot than if I check and raise. I should be getting called by every ace here when if I check, an ace will bet and then might fold to my raise. And of course I can just get called by pairs as well. Pocket pairs. On table 1, mostly 3-betting ace queen. Button versus cutoff. Could call as well. On table 2, opening hijack with ace-10 offsuit. And we face a 3-bet and folding. On the king-high flop, I'm going to be doing a lot of small betting. Even though I have a pretty decent hand to check, I'm probably just mostly betting on this flop. And on table 2, 3-betting small blind against a hijack open with king-queen suited. We get called, and with ace-queen, now we can start checking a bit. The 6 isn't the greatest card for me. On table 2, we're in a limped pot with ace-8 offsuit in the big blind. And I think I need to start bluffing with my ace high now. Could make a pair fold. Not going to be doing any leading with the ace here. And now I think I'm always going to be calling this. not strong enough to raise. And ace queen facing a river raise, going to have to fold. After the turn checks through, I think I want to go big and get value from the limper, who shouldn't have that many better aces than me. And we get called by the small blind, who had ace 5. On table 1, I'm going to be 3-betting hijack versus under the gun with queen jack suited, and on table 2, opening button with 10-7 suited. On table 1, 3-betting small blind versus cutoff with king queen off, and on table 2, opening hijack with pocket kings. We get 3-bet with our kings, and I'm going to be 4-betting this. On table 1, opening button with 10-7 suited. We get an ace high flop, and I think we want to be betting range for very small. With the 10-7, I could really do anything here. Going to bet half pot. And now with the kings, I think mostly checking. I could maybe bet small again. On table 1, I have flush now. Going to keep betting. I'm considering going for another small bet with the kings, but maybe check call. Not really sure what to do here. I think I'm going to check and call a small bet. On table 1, defending king 6 suited from the big blind against button. Could be 3-betting this hand sometimes as well. In the king's hand, we were up against jacks, which I think is a hand that probably calls a small bet. With the king 6, going to be raising. Could call, could raise. On table 1, opening small blind with queen 6 suited. This is one of the best hands in poker. We flop a flush. I'm going to start off with a half pot bet. And on table 2, we have queens in the big blind, squeezing against cutoff and small blind. And on table 1, opening under the gun with King 9 suited. We get called by the small blind with in the queen's hand. And I think I can do quite a bit of checking back here. And I'll be calling this bet on the turn. I'm really not too happy about putting lots of money into the pot here. Especially on the ace-high board. Small blind calling should have a lot of aces, and I'm blocking quite a lot of the bluffs with my queens. Just going to fold on the river. This might be a little bit of a tight fold. But I'm going to end the video here, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.